Hey everybody, welcome to Seattle Sounds Then and Now. I'm your host, Owen Wright, and we're doing our second season now. We've got some great guests coming up. My director, David Yama, and I are sitting here in the pod room, the music room, and Fantasy Island. Welcome to the show. David, how are you, sir?
I'm doing great. How you been?
I've been good. I think we're kind of moving into springtime, I hope.
The groundhog came out.
I actually was up at 4 in the morning and I watched that little guy come out, and apparently there's 6 more weeks of winter, which is fine. I like winter, although I am ready at some point here, hopefully sooner than later, to get back to Maui with my girl Lori and sit on the beach in the sun.
Yeah, I got to enjoy some Hawaii time while we've been on break.
That's right. Where'd you go?
I went to Kona, right? Yeah,
Yeah,
on Big
I've been
Island.
there.
Yeah, yes, yeah. I remember thinking about. I think I stayed at a resort that was basically right next to where you used to stay.
No, you were in Maui.
No. I wasn't in Maui.
No, you were in Kona.
I was in Kona. You usually go to Maui.
I stay in Maui.
But you've been to Kona.
Yeah.
I think we talked about it a while back.
I think you were north of the airport
Yes.
when I was going to Kona and visiting my buddy Raj Parashar, who used to own London Bridge Studios. We were out there hanging out and doing some work on some properties that he bought for Airbnb. Yeah, I'm definitely ready for some sun. Had some health issues that I went through in the last 6 months. Had a little cancer scare. Went through 6 months of procedures and radiation treatments. And the way that I found out about it was really odd. I had a little rash on my arm. But yeah, I went in to find out what was going on. And I did some blood work, for cholesterol, diabetes. I did a PSA. And that came back. The numbers were 4 times what they should have been. So that was a pretty good scare. I lucked out. I mean, I wouldn't even know about it now unless I had gone in. I did about 5 to 6 months of procedures. And then I did 30 days in a row of radiation treatment at oncology at Valley Medical Center. Those guys are amazing. And I'm done with it now. Getting my strength back. Now we're doing the second season of our show with you, Dave. What have you been doing, mister?
I don't know how. Somebody brought it up. Actually, it got brought up to me a couple of times. It's like, you go on a lot of trips. And I'm like, no, I don't. And then, sure enough, I'm like, oh my gosh, I guess I kind of
Actually, you do.
do. We went to Chicago by train. That was because we always wanted to do like a cross-country train thing.
Took a trip to Kona.
Took just a really short cruise up to Vancouver and stayed up there. But then we also did a longer cruise coming up next month, going on a 2-week cruise in the Caribbean.
That's good, though.
Yeah. It's I've definitely been keeping busy with leisure.
There's something to be said for that. I kind of feel like as I've gotten older, I have a lot of time for myself to do my new music, my project with my buddy Paul Euler from Sweetwater, my blind co-pilot. We're doing songs. We got our first 4-song EP finished, and
with Kelly Gray. Producing that.
Yeah, and that turned out fantastic. And we've got some finally got some CDs printed up. The EP is featured on YouTube. What we're going to and so the 4 songs that are on YouTube right now, what we're going to do, we're going to re-release those on YouTube. And so when you actually listen to the songs, you'll be able to read the lyrics as the song's going through and get an idea of what this music is about. It's pretty personal to me.
So on a quick note about, because I got to listen to my blind co-pilot, some of the music being put together. And I remember we had talked about, come over and maybe record some of the practice sessions or some of the recording sessions.
Right.
And maybe we can turn that into something. And the problem that I came to realize is that I would need to hire a crew because I'm too distracted.
Listening?
That maybe I totally forgot to turn the camera on.
That's a good thing, though, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I was just like, I'm sitting there, just enjoying the show. And I'm like, oh, shit, I have a job. I'm supposed to be doing something.
I'm supposed to fucking hit record.
Yeah, so I was like, I need to bring, some of my crew in if I'm going to do that.
Yeah. Well, the good news is that we're going to do that again. And then what was really cool about it is that we had Kelly Gray over here and with Paul Euler on drums, and we actually recorded those basic tracks in my garage.
Yeah.
We didn't go to a studio.
And right here, some parts
and
of
right
guitar
here
parts.
in the music room, and it turned out really good. I'm really proud of it.
Yeah.
I've been wanting to do it for so long, and it took a while, but it's like what usually happens in my mind. Once I get something in my head and I know I want to do it, I'll make it happen.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we have Kim Virant and Carrie Akre coming in.
Yeah.
We're going to interview both of them. I was trying to figure out, because usually when we do our interviews, like we do with the first season, it was usually we'd record for about an hour and a half with one guest.
Yeah.
Take some commercial breaks and then come back and do it in like 3 different segments. And then I'm trying to figure out, God, how are we going to do these girls and make it work out so they can both, get their voices heard? And I think what we're going to do is we're just going to start how we usually start. How did you first learn to love music, and what were you listening to when you were a kid? Like, what were your folks listening to? And I ask everybody that at the start of the show. And I think we're just going to ping pong back and forth with them and move up the years, and I think it'll work out really good. And I think I'm going to spring it on the girls at the very end of our interview, ask them if they want to do a song.
Yeah.
And not tell them what it is. And I've already got the song picked out. Should I say what it is?
No, we'll figure it out at the end of the show.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I like that.
I've got a tune picked out where they could both sing on, and I think I'm going to play acoustic guitar, and we'll see what happens.
Heck yeah. I'm looking forward to that. I always wanted to see a jam session on the show.
I remember you saying that, and I thought, for the second season, it'd be cool to, whatever guest we get in, spring a song on them that everybody knows.
Yeah.
Especially me, because I'll be playing the music on it, so better get it right. But yeah, that should be cool.
Heck yeah.
I'm excited for all those interviews.
Me too.
Copy that.
All right.
All right. Welcome, Seattle, to Seattle Sound, and now I'm your host, Owen Wright. I'm really fortunate to be able to have Carrie Akre and Kimberly back again. She's a return offender. Good morning to everybody. Thanks for being here on it's Super Bowl Sunday here in Seattle, Washington. And how are you guys feeling today?
Good.
Good.
Yeah.
Got some sleep. I'm good.
Exactly. That's all that matters. I got sleep.
I slept through the night.
Rest is good.
Solidly. Yeah.
So what we're going to do today with the girls is we're going to go through and talk about the then and leading up to now. And because we're doing both of you guys at one time, which we only usually do one guest, we're going to ping pong back and forth, and we're going to tear it up. And I don't mean tears, sadness.
Okay, Barbara Walters.
We're talking about tears of joy.
Tears of joy.
Isn't that
That's our new band name. Sweet.
tears of joy? And along with us today is my director and producer, David Yama. David, how are you doing today?
I'm doing good.
Right on.
I'm doing good.
There you are.
Hi, David.
Hello.
All right. Well, let's get right to it. So let's start with Carrie. What I would like to know, and I'm sure everybody else would like to know, like when you were a kid growing up and hanging out, like when, say 3 to 4 to 5 years old, when I was that age, my mom was putting on records on the hi-fi, Tijuana Brass.
Mhm.
What was the band? Age of Aquarius.
I don't know. Who was that?
Aquarius. Oh, Fifth Dimension.
Fifth Dimension, right? Because that was a part of the play.
Neil Diamond. So that's the stuff I was listening
Mhm.
to. When you were growing up, what sparked your musical interest?
I was really grateful that my mom listened to like Carole King. Like Tapestry is a pretty formative record. Yeah, right.
Look right behind you.
Oh, see, I love a synchronicity. I love that. Yeah, Tapestry. I knew even then, I was like, that's an incredible record. It's a very emotional storyteller record, and I respond to that. She had things like Cher, though, like Going Down the Stony End, right? Like the older Cher records.
Yes.
I don't think my mom was a huge I mean, she was in her 20s when she had me, so she was definitely listening to music, but I don't think my mom was like a deep, deep music listener, but she had those records. Um, Tapestry in particular, I think stood out to me.
When I was a kid, my mom would make me dance in the living room. Did your mom ever do that?
No, my mom was Swedish. She was very stoic.
Oh,
That would never be required, but she did sew my own clothes. And I was telling someone the other day, she used to make these half shirts with butterfly wing sleeves in material that was like black, fluorescent orange, red, like crazy, like 60s cool half shirts that I would like today, frankly.
kind of like
And
a pirate shirt, half pirate shirt.
it was just like
No,
here, it
it's
had a
like
panel here.
dolman sleeve.
Yeah, like
it-
belled out
Yeah.
to here.
Hmm.
And she also bought me a pair of red patent leather lace up the front boots
Oh, cool.
that I wore to death. Like I think she had to throw them away at one point, but I was like, who does that? Like, and where'd that
I had
lady
a pair
go?
of that.
Kim, same question posed to you. When you were growing up, how did that go down in your family with
Well,
listening to music and
I think there's a definite synchronicity because I had those red patent leather lace up boots,
Did you?
and I love Cher.
Hmm.
That
I do
was my
too.
that was my
Yeah.
and I told this on the last pod. I just watching her on TV crying, realizing I was never going to be tall and tan. And those Bob Mackie dresses,
Yeah.
so cool. But yeah, we listened to a lot of. My dad had Jose Feliciano. He had a ton of different records. In fact, he passed away a few years ago, and we were going through all his records, and I grabbed some, and he a lot of that AM Gold,
Hmm.
give me
Yeah.
the three boys and free my soul,
Hmm.
that kind of stuff, which I love.
So that's when you guys were kids. Moving up into like, let's say fifth, sixth grade, were you guys into? I started playing guitar in like fifth grade. I took guitar lessons for a little bit just to learn a couple chords. Thank God my mom made me do that. And which I didn't want to do really, quite frankly, because I just was like, I got to go do the guitar lesson. Did you guys have lessons at all?
I had piano lessons, but same thing, like you don't want to practice.
You
Which
still play?
I do. I write with it, but I don't play complicated,
Right.
But I'm glad I learned enough, like to read. But I think at about that age was when I started joining choir.
Oh,
So
cool.
I'm a singer. I'm primarily a singer. I'm not. I was never like, oh, I'm a guitar player first, and then I'll,
Branch
um,
out.
branch out. But there seems like a point in a kid's life where they're like, would you like to learn an instrument? Like school has some offer for band or things like that. So I took piano for a while, and then middle school is when I started joining choir.
Oh, off to me.
Yes, please.
I took. I think I had.
To you, Kim.
I had
Your turn. And Kimberly for
Over to you.
500.
Over to you.
Double
I-
Jeopardy.
I had some piano lessons, but the piano teacher was super creepy, and I was like, I don't want to do this.
Isn't that fun?
Sucks.
And then I took some guitar lessons, but it hurt my fingers, and I didn't. And I had said this before. I'm a total late bloomer. Like it just wasn't in my world at that point.
Right. So as of right now, do you use piano as a songwriting tool now?
Yeah, definitely. I taught myself to play guitar so that I could be more independent and write my own songs.
Mhm.
But again, I'm not a complicated guitar player either. Both of those instruments are for writing.
Sure.
And I know enough that I could perform independent, like alone.
Yeah.
So yeah, yes, use them both.
Kimberly, how about you as far as songwriting?
I dick around on the piano a little bit for songwriting. Definitely not guitar, and we have guitars around the house. Not as many as you have.
Oops.
Yeah, like if I'm looking for something and we have the piano at the house, but that's about it. I've only ever performed on piano once, and it was so nerve-wracking. And I should have gotten back on that horse and done it, but I blew it up to such a catastrophe in my mind that I'm like, oh, my fingers shook so
nerve-wracking.
bad.
Yeah.
Well, I think as a singer, like once you add an instrument, if you're just used to singing, you're like, oh, you have to remember, oh, I have to still do this too. Like, oh, that.
And do you write more on piano or guitar?
A little bit of both. I don't like guitar. Like, I don't like playing guitar, frankly. Anybody who plays guitar, I'd be like,
How
"Are you
dare
for-"
you?
I know, how dare you?
In a room
I-
of guitars.
Yeah, exactly. Well, two reasons. One, I just don't prefer it. Like, same thing. Like, I just don't, whatever, I don't prefer it. And I I trend to write a certain way, like a certain pattern. It ends up sounding a little bit alt country to me, like, and if that's not what I'm looking for, then I won't lean towards that. I'll go to piano. But I've been thinking too about like there's something about keeping it simple that I like, because what I'm more interested in is the storytelling or the words. And so I'm not going to be someone who's striving to play complicated anywhere because I'm more interested in my storytelling. And so I'm never going to move towards complicated piano playing, or guitar. And even more so, I think this year I'm looking to go even more like stripped down, very subtle, even with who I'm playing with, having them like a dry room, like no
Mhm.
effects on there, just this, but you might flip into like,
Right up in your right,
yeah,
straight up in your face. Nothing,
yeah.
no
Because
delay or
even though in my mind, I'm like, this is the year for the words more than ever.
yeah.
So I want you to hear just me. Like I would go a cappella probably if you know what I mean? Like because or talking at people like, did you hear what I just said?
And what did you think about that?
And
What
what
I
do you
just said.
think about that? Yeah. Yeah, because under production and things like that, which everyone enjoys, including myself, there are all the stories and the words, and I'm really interested in that, especially this year.
Yeah,
So
that's
very
cool.
stripped down.
Super stripped down. I had a practice yesterday for a show I'm doing coming up in February, where one I've moved a song that was on piano to guitar, and the verse would be very dry, and then you click into like a distortion pedal,
Hmm.
much a little PJ Harvey-esque, like
Oh, cool.
like that kind
I
of
love
feeling.
PJ Harvey, by the way.
But leaving lots of space.
Mhm,
Like we're
mhm.
not looking to fill it up with flourishes. I'm like, no, it's like either da 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 da,
Less is more, and space is good.
and the feel of it has an intensity to it, and that's the point as well. Like so, take a soft song that's like I love you to like no no no,
Yeah,
give it a different spin.
give it breath,
Hmm.
space.
Space and silence. Like I'm not rushing that next verse. Like we're all gonna sit here in 2 seconds
That's
of me.
always hard for players, though, I think.
Oh, it is. I have to concentrate.
'Cause
I'm like, lay it back more.
We don't need a fill.
I'll let you know when you can go next, kind of thing.
Kimberly, what about you and in your songwriting? Like, how do you approach what you do?
I tend,
That you do very well.
well, thank you very much.
People
Amen.
love it.
I tend to collaborate with other people. So, and it's when I'm doing that, I have to have we both have to be comfortable with the fact that they start playing something. And if it resonates, then it's like, okay. And then what I do is I start pacing around the room because I'm looking for, uh,
Something
the
to hang on
melody
to
or
it.
and you write lyrics and but and if it doesn't, then I'll be like next. And usually the people I'm writing with, they're cool about that because they're not being precious about it. If it doesn't, the the situation right now with Golden West, these are songs that Kathy Moore actually wrote, complete songs
Hmm.
that we recorded with Jeff Fielder, and
So is that music only, or did she have...
they were fully formed songs. Which, to be frank, I always like to be part of the songwriting process because I feel it's important to me.
Yeah.
But these were songs that she didn't want to sing in her voice
Mhm.
because my voice is kind of more suited to him. She grew out, her dad was a pastor, and they traveled around the Midwest, and these are kind of those kind of songs, which was not my experience, but there's something about them that speak to me,
Mhm.
and I think I was able to deliver for her what she wanted on those songs. And then there's a couple more songs, but now we're starting to write more songs together in this particular vein because Kathy is pretty multifaceted, where she's got her Kathy Moore superpower trio, and it takes care of her prog rock itch.
Mhm.
And this thing that we're doing here is a little bit Americana, kind of dirty, sexy, which is what I wanted. I wanted it to be gritty and like some rock.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And I think that scratches that itch for her. But when I'm doing my own stuff, you have the books out and you're looking, you're like, okay, what is that saying to me? Where can I find it? And I used to feel guilty that I would go back years and find something like I should be writing everything fresh and new that's of this time. And the more I read about other songwriters, it is that thing. You just you put something down, and maybe like 6 years later, it's like, oh, now it's time to.
Yeah, 'cause don't
Heard.
you think writing can be prophetic? Like you might be speaking to your future self.
Yes.
Yeah.
I bet when you go back, you're like, oh,
Or it's
I
that
get
thing
it.
where you look through, you're like, I'm saying the same damn thing.
yes.
I'm
There's
still as frustrated.
There's that.
Something interesting happened to me, and I haven't talked a whole lot about it, but I had some health issues, and I was working on some music that Paul Euler played drums on, and the third song on this EP that we just got done doing, I was working on these lyrics, and it turned into a song about somebody finding out that they got diagnosed with cancer.
Oh wow.
So while that was going on, I went to the doctor and I got a blood test. I had this weird little rash on my arm. I thought it was onset adult shingles. It wasn't.
Right? Could be.
So they gave me a blood test, PSA. I got the song done and recorded. I got the lyrics all done. 10 days later, I got a call from the doctor after the blood test, and they go, "You've got cancer. We need you to come in immediately."
Wow.
And I was like,
Holy
well,
shit.
fuck me. If that's not art imitating life, I don't know what is. And it blew my mind. I started crying.
Yeah.
Oh,
Then I thought to myself, wow. And now, after all said and done, and I went through all the treatment and everything, I'm getting my strength back. I got you guys here.
Mhm.
yay.
Dave,
Mhm.
my buddies, we're
Thank
back doing our show. Fuck yeah.
Yay.
And we can swear on the show, so
Uh,
fuck it. But now when I hear the song, I feel real grateful that it kind of went down that way. It really made me think about just, and I haven't been a super big lyric songwriter. This is that the thing that we just did is the first time I've ever done that on my own and sang
mhm.
and played everything except the drums. So it's a real blessing.
That moment like that is such kind of magic in a way. Like I'm a
Crazy.
firm believer in like synchronicity and magic of that sort. Or what's been said a million times is how much songwriting is channeling, either for your future self or it's coming from somewhere that you can't explain.
Yeah.
And I love that. I've always loved that. I
Oh,
believe in magic.
I
So,
have it. I feel like all of it just kind of it's circling around, and when it's time to grab that
It
song,
goes,
mhm.
it comes to. I mean, sometimes
Call it.
yeah, sometimes it'll come in fully formed, and other times it's like it does take like a year or so to finally put together. And
yeah.
I had this really. I just did a song under the Kim Virant band, and called Questions, and it's about. I lost my dad a couple years ago, and I'd lost my mom several years ago, and it just all fucking came to me, and it's so beautiful to me. Like it's
Yeah.
like it and it said everything it needed to say, which is so I was very happy. So it's so gratifying to have that happen. And I think
Just say it took a certain amount of time for it to finally go.
yep,
hmm
like I'm breaking through now. You need to write me down.
Yeah. Well, I mean, what a great art form for healing. Songwriting is such an amazing healing format. And
Awesome.
it's also a trust walk. Maybe you don't know when you go into a session, but you have to trust that open up and trust and just let it come to you, right?
Yes.
That's a internal trust walk that not everybody is willing to do or knows about or believes in or things like that. But I think it absolutely requires a belief
hmm
that whatever needs to come out is going to come out, and I can step aside fully and let go.
Soul searching. This is the first. So we did last year. How many episodes did we do? 12?
12.
This is the first episode that we've got to talk and with two great performers and artists about songwriting,
Yeah.
which is
It's
when
been
I sent the text yesterday about, I'm going to ask you some funny questions about some.
Sorry, I got
And I was like, I think Carrie's pissed at me. And I fucking lamented over it all day
Oh,
long. I'm like,
sorry.
oh, maybe she's going to cancel. What did I say?
Although I will say this, we both do like shoes.
We do like shoes. I had a problem with shoes over the pandemic, so let's just say a recovering shoe person.
Yeah.
But I think Kim and I have talked about this a lot. I think, especially, I'm going to say, as women, this year, I really want to. I'm putting together shows that are like showcasing women and
Yeah.
the art that they're making. There's always been incredible songwriters and artists, female artists here in the Northwest, but I don't think they get the attention that some of the larger bands get, right? So I get really serious about it.
Yeah.
We've spent decades in an industry where it's like everything's reduced to silly, or maybe inappropriate sometimes. And at some point, I mean, at my age, I'm just sort of like, I'm not doing that. I'm just not doing that anymore.
You don't need to.
No.
And I think, I mean, as far as having done this a long time, Kathy and I have had these pretty in-depth conversations, as I have with Carrie, and it's important for me to be a little bit of a beacon, like, okay, I'm going forward, and you women that are in your 20s that are still going to want to be doing this as you get older,
Yeah.
it is quite possible to move forward and to still continue to have a career. And that's important to me because it always seems like the guys get to go keep doing what they're doing and the women get a little relegated, as they will. And I won't have it.
I think it's cool, like Carrie was just saying, the risk factor, and just do your best and just be your best badass self. When that risk pays off, isn't that a great feeling?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you feel whole.
I
And
mean,
you're authentic.
Yeah, authentic and whole.
Yeah.
yeah. And also getting feedback from people. Oh, fuck, that's fucking amazing.
Well, I think as you get older, that's what keeps you going, especially if you're talking to someone who says whatever you wrote or made meant something to me or changed my life. Or
Sure.
any
Somebody
artist
just
feels that
told
way.
me that. I was somewhere
Mhm.
and she's like, this record, it was Lazy Susan. So, and she's like, and she'd gotten divorced in 2020 or 2010. And Lazy Susan was back in,
Mhm.
and she's like, it got me through this divorce. And I'm like, to have somebody say that to you?
Winning.
Yeah.
Big time.
And that's
Big
why,
time.
I mean,
It is.
do you like, for me, first of all, it's fun to sing, but it's the connection, it's the community. And like, and it's not like me being, I'm up on stage and I'm so cool. It's because
Right.
you're really good at connecting with your people and it too. And it's like, that's the payoff.
Yeah. Oh, it was funny. I just did a podcast with Chris, Kim's husband, and Rick, his brother, about the Rockfords. And I am by nature was not built to do music because I need attention. Like I'm not built that way. To my chagrin, I think that that can help you somewhere in a career. But what it's true for me is I want to commune. As a loner, who's someone who's always felt like a loner, like it's a free space for me. For whatever reason, I feel very safe there, and it's a way for me to commune with you that it feels easy for me. Because we're all going to pass one day, so the conversation together, a good one, a good song, like with Kim's music and someone saying that helped. I mean, that's the
That's it.
ultimate thing.
It really is good. Hey, you know what we're going to do right now? We're going to go to a quick sponsor break. I am here, Owen Wright, Seattle's Sound Then and Now, with Carrie Akre and Kim Virant. We'll be right back. So many of you know, we film and record this podcast on Sunday mornings and afternoons. How do we like to start each episode, Dave?
Well, first I set up the cameras and then,
No. Before that.
oh, well, with a cup of Joe?
Right. Not just any cup of Joe. We get ourselves a cup of coffee at Annie Irene's Coffee Shop, family owned in Des Moines. I like to get a nice cup of coffee or maybe a little brekkie sandwich. How about you, Dave?
Cup of coffee, maybe some coffee cake. They do a coffee cake with Marion berries.
I like the one that has the brown sugar on top with the cinnamon, with a cube of butter on it.
Cube of butter.
Later in the day, they got a really cool ice cream that they also serve. Annie Irene's Coffee Shop, located downtown Des Moines, Marine View Drive, open daily. I go there every morning. You know, Dave, whenever I call you, you're always working, whether it be on a film, your daily gig, writing a script, editing the pod.
There's always something to do, that's for sure.
I hear you. Between this pod, running my company, writing music, it could be tough to keep up with those little pesky household tasks,
Oh, you
right?
betcha.
Luckily, Des Moines Cleaners has your dry cleaning needs taken care of. Open from 7 a.m. to 3 p.m., closed on Sundays. I actually know the couple that own it. They're super sweet. You could take one task off your shoulders with the cleaners for all your dry cleaning and laundry needs. Des Moines, the Cleaners. And we're back. Seattle Sound, Then and Now, with Kim Virant and Carrie Akre. We've gone through some great parts about when you girls were loving music when you were younger, coming up through like 6th, 7th, maybe 8th grade-ish. At that point, we're going to ping pong back and forth, and I want to find out when you first started playing, jamming with other people. Carrie, what was how old were you? Were you in like 8th, 9th grade or?
God, no.
Yeah,
No, we are not the Frill brothers.
Well, then there's those fuckers.
I mean, I don't know about Kim and I have talked about this before too, but like, I did choir all the way through high school. That was sort of what was available in the small town that I lived in.
What small town?
Tri-Cities, so Kennewick. I grew up in Kennewick.
I played
yeah.
Kennewick. I played the Kennewick Arena.
Did you? Hey, that's huge.
Me and Lane Staley stole the ice machine and drove around on it, and everybody in the security was chasing us. And
Oh my God.
That's called a Zamboni.
it was
past my time.
Lane found the key to the Zamboni in like, I don't know. Owen, come on. We
As
opened
you
up.
do.
We opened up for chains. And these fuckers are chasing us around the ice rink.
I'm jealous. All we had was the Hoedown Club, I think.
Super
was
fun.
nice.
Good times.
Yeah. So, I mean, I did that. So it wasn't until, I maybe a little known fact is I left the Tri-Cities and went to the UW. So that was like my ticket out
Oh wow.
into Seattle. That's where I wanted
Me
to go.
too.
Right?
Yeah. I went from UPS to the UW.
The UW has served us well. Like,
Yeah.
as
Wow.
a vehicle to like get to Seattle. But it wasn't until I was 23, and I had the impetus to like join bands was I did I lived in France for a year, and I had gone over with the UW. It was another thing that I loved was French, and I wanted to learn, but I'm a terrible student, so I went over as a student and then got a job and stayed. And it was probably the hardest thing I've ever done. Just learning a language is hard for so many reasons. So when I got back, I was like, well, if you could do that, what other thing have you always wanted to do? And, it was obvious like, oh, Seattle had a scene and there were bands. And I was like, oh, I want to sing. So,
Were you going to any of the shows or anything like that?
no, I was going to like Scoochies and,
Me too.
Oh,
I
I
love
remember
Scoochies.
Yeah.
I
And
knew
City
about
Beat,
Scoochies, but we
City
never
Beat,
went.
Encore
Totally.
down
Yep.
Renton.
What was the place that was down in the church?
Monastery.
Yeah.
Monastery.
I never got to go to
I
the
never
monastery.
went either.
Pissed.
Why is we're so parallel?
I know. We're very parallel.
Yeah.
Our stories, we'll get to it. But like,
What year did you
so
start?
glad I know her now.
What year did you start singing in the band? Like
Um,
when was your?
23. So
What year was that? Was that like
1989.
Kim, what were you doing in 1989?
I went to Europe, and it was during that year I had talked about that. While I traveled those 3 months,
Right.
my story went from I think I want to sing to I'm going to sing when I get back, and I
Something
ended
about
up-
Europe. Like just
Yeah, well, it was a catalyst, and I had started so then I think I was in my first band. I did open mic in '89 that winter, and then maybe my first band was the following year. We are so parallel.
yeah.
Yeah.
There's something about Europe's very inspiring, and it's difficult. Traveling like that's difficult. Like learning the language is difficult, but it's inspiring. So yeah, when I got back, again, firm believer in like I've just led my life by synchronicity a lot. Like just sort of saying like I'm going to do that, and then shit falls into place. But I had told myself like, oh, let's join a band. I also have said a lot like ignorance is bliss. Like I knew nothing. I'd never been in a band. Like that worked to my favor because I was like, I don't know. So let's just start by answering an ad. But the synchronicity is that the one and only ad I answered was the one that Dave and James had put in the Rocket.
Oh wow.
And so
I don't remember those ads.
yeah, remember
Yeah.
that?
Yeah.
That's how we.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they had like what got me was they had influences like REM, Husker Du, but then like Annie Lennox, and I was like, oh, and I'm a new wave baby at heart. Like I'm not at origin like, oh, I'm listening to the Stones or whatever. I mean, I grew up in the Tri-Cities, so it is the top 5 like Def Leppard, AC/DC, like
Zeppelin.
Van Halen, Scorpions. No, it gets better, Scorpions, and then something else. So
I'm just gonna do this.
yeah, go ahead, it's fine.
That's how I learned how to play guitar.
Oh, amazing bands, don't get me wrong. But like my heart was in New Wave and like Susie and the Banshees and Cocteau Twins and all that.
Oh yeah.
But when I saw the ad, Annie Lennox being kind of on the roster of things that I loved and a voice that I loved, that was the reason I called the ad too. I was like, oh, I can relate to that or I can do that.
Remember at the end of those ads, almost every single one of them said, "And if you're not serious, don't bother answering this ad."
Well, Dave, when I called, Dave did ask me like, do you have a tape? And I was like, no. Like,
Did
do
you know
have,
you could sing? Like, did you? I mean, you would
Yeah.
sing through. Were you like the soloist in choir and things like that?
No, I mean, I'm telling you, like, I spent years just singing alone in our house, 2 records, like, loved singing. Like, I would sing to Barbara Streisand records or with the
Cool.
purposeful intent of, like, matching her tone or holding that note that long, or I just loved voices.
So
So
it was your training ground.
it's totally the training ground, like a lot of guitar players too.
Yeah.
Like,
Mhm.
so I would sing along, not to mimic, because I always in my mind was like, I don't want to mimic. I just want to know how she does that with her voice, and can I get mine to do it that way? So I think Kim and I are both like singers. Like guitar players are,
A guitar player's guitar
Yeah.
player.
So I think about singing and like, what can I do? How do I want to do it? How do I get my voice to do that? How do I make it last? Things like that. So,
It's interesting.
yeah, I knew I could sing. I just had never done a band.
So we were at 1989 and going into 1990. Was that Lazy Susan started?
No, Lazy Susan.
That was later.
Lazy Susan may have been 91. It's a little fuzzy for me.
I
I know
remember-
what.
I kind of
I know when it ended, December of 96,
I
but when it
remember watching
began
you
is a little
guys-
unclear.
play and maybe did shows with my band, My Sister's Machine, at Rock Candy.
Would have been like 92, 93.
Yeah.
And I think I was thinking, because I just gave this as a trivia question, that our first show, we went under the name Black Eyed Susan, and we opened up for Mookie Blaylock. And
Is that the Central?
I don't know where it was at. I thought it was at the off ramp, but once again, it's unclear.
We got a lot of those.
Everything's a little
Where was that?
fuzzy.
Like,
Little
I don't know.
A little
So,
fuzzy.
at that point, what were you doing, Carrie?
Well,
When did Hammerbox? Is it?
Hammerbox started in '89. So I met Dave and James, and then I met Harris through a neighbor who lived below me. I lived in the Prudential building, those lofts.
I remember that.
Yeah. So Nils
Building.
Bernstein and Roderick Wolgamott from Sky Cars Married lived below me. And then they had a friend, Jeff Hayward, who said, "Hey, you got to meet my friend Harris." So we met Harris. He came and played, and, we were like, hell yeah. So we, then as a band, you just start writing. And for me, when I went to go talk to those guys, and I think this one moment sort of sets you free, like you're either going to do it or not do it. They were like, "Hey, we've been writing some songs as my tryout. Let's go in here. We'll start playing. You start singing."
Just
Like,
go for it.
That's like the first time ever. I've done no experience. They're just like, "So you just start singing," and I was like, "Okay."
Like, did they have lyrics written, or was it like
No,
freestyle?
0. It was like, "We're gonna start playing. You
You
start
were-
singing. That's it." Like,
you
and
were-
I was like,
God
Just
damn.
basically what we call free balling it.
all the
You're
way.
just going for it.
Yeah. And so I just was like, I mean, what else are you going to do? I was like, okay. Like, so they go in, and luckily, I don't know, I feel like I'm a radio listener, just melody person anyway. So
You got a good ear for
the
music.
shit just started coming out. I just was like, okay. And if you don't know any better, you're like, I don't know. Here you go. What
Yeah.
else are you going to do? And I rely on that. I was sort of like, well, I'm going to do something. It's because it's either yes or no. I'm either doing this or I'm not doing it.
Right.
So brain, please activate, and I'll get out of the way. I think I've pretty instantly was like, what else are you going to do? Get out of the way. And so I got from the very start, got very comfortable with like, do anything,
I mean, that was with Hammerbox at the start,
Mhm.
correct?
Yeah. And we played our first show. Do you guys remember like the Gilman Street station at all? It was like a tavern pool hall.
Where's that at?
Where's that
It's
at?
not there anymore. It's if you were driving to Ballard from in between Magnolia. But
Oh.
Dave knew someone there. That was our first show. There was more light on the pool table than us. Like it was seriously tavern people, like drinkers at the bar. That was like our first show, and our friends came, and I'm a pretty up until then, I'm a very quiet watcher person. Like my friends didn't even know I could sing, and so we got up and we got done, and they were like, "What the fuck? Like you can sing?" Like, and I was like, "Mm-hmm."
Excellent.
I had that same. I did
Right?
an open mic over at what is that, Murphy's, and it was a snowy night, and everybody came, and then like Paige and Stacy were like, "You sing?"
What? Yeah.
And I think they were all fucking nervous for me. Like, I hope she's okay.
Oh, it's like that. Your friends are like, "God, I hope she doesn't suck." Like,
And I didn't.
no,
So,
no.
yeah.
But why would they know? What are we gonna?
No, I was never like, I'm a singer.
Yeah, neither of us are built like show offs. We're not show offs by like, whatever. We're good on stage now, but we're not like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna need some attention.
Like I'm not. We're neither look at me people.
Mm-mm.
Like I. de- Let me know. I'm not kidding myself. I like attention, but not like that all the time.
I hate to say it, but back in the day, all of us guitar player guys, we were all like that. We were
What? There's nothing wrong with it.
competition.
Yeah.
Have you learned Eddie Van Halen's Eruption? Yeah, I know.
Uh-huh.
I got through a third of it.
Yeah.
What part? Play it for me.
Right.
But it was a big competition. So
Yeah. But it's funny, like, I think
super fun though.
I'll say again, like, I wish I'd been maybe had a little bit of that because, when you get into the industry and things like that, you got to have some aggressive,
Yep.
get me what I want. You need a little bit of that. And I don't know that I had that, but I think we both have agreed though we were competitive.
Yeah. Oh
Like,
yeah.
we're competitive people in terms of I want to be very good at what I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's something about that.
It's somewhat male focused as most industries are. So
I agree.
and because
100%.
because that's been how it's been set up,
Mhm.
our way in it's like it's the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Look at how many men are in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame as opposed to women. It's
Correct.
just and when we were playing music at that point, there were other women front people around, but not nearly the guys. And there's a lot more women now.
Yeah.
And it's getting better, but it's
But it's also very masculine. The grunge era was very masculine, right?
Very,
Yeah.
yeah.
Super. Like even the women I know, 7-Year Bitch or like Mia or any of we dressed very masculine. Like I look back and I was like, I look like a boy. Like I was very, and I don't know that I was thinking about it. I think I was wrestling with the attention. Like I wasn't ready for like quite the attention. So, but if I look back, that era was so like jean shorts, combat boots, like maybe some frilly petticoat that you added in there, or a baby doll dress.
yeah.
You know what I mean? Like feminine.
That's what us guys used to wear to work because we were all doing construction. You should have seen me in a
Yeah.
muumuu and a pair of army boots. I look fetching.
Fetching. Exactly. Yeah. But I also think there were few of us. And Kim and I have talked about that as we get into like later on, like I think there were few of us and I don't think we talked to each other a lot. We
No.
would be in the scene, but like
What
Kim
is
and I have
tech?
talked about this a lot. Like
Siloed. We were siloed.
super siloed. And also a female's path is going to always run into like, what do you look like? What are you wearing? If you
Yep.
go into the majors, then it gets a lot more about like sex appeal, like how much do you weigh? Like you go down the path of like, it's going to be about your body and what you're wearing. And
You get
that
kinda
sex appeal is a
cornered.
piece of it. And yeah,
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And I think about,
Or how are they going to it's always a thought of how are they going to present you and what they're going to do with you, but it is more complicated I think with women, and particularly at that time they're like, like we would play bills. Oh no, we can only have one female fronted band on the bill. Like that would never fly now, and it doesn't, which is good. Like we're doing that show on March 8th, and it's all women, and it's
We're going to talk
except for
about
Patrick Porter.
we're going to talk about that big time. So, Hammerbox, you were doing
Lazy Susan.
Lazy Susan. From that tier, where did that escalate to, and what year did that lead up to, basically?
When did Hammerbox end?
Hammerbox ended in 95, but I think both of us started just as the grunge era was taken off. We both ended up in the experience of major labels, right? Like
Yeah.
that whole game. Hammerbox got signed to A&M Records, right? And
I didn't know that, really.
we were signed with a 2-record guarantee, which is a part of, which is rare. So that second record, Numb, was recorded with like Michael Beinhorn and all of that. But like I think both of us experience, once you get into like that level, a whole host of other problems shows up, either internally in the band or navigating the industry. And that industry was just catching onto a trend. They weren't like, it's not like they understood the grunge era and all the artists. They were like, oh, this seems like it'd make money. Here we go. So these aren't guys who are like, yeah, man, I know.
Visionaries.
They're not,
Well,
they're
most of
business
those-
dudes wanting to make money.
Most of those A&R guys that signed all of us at
Mhm.
one point or another,
Just for the record, I never got signed, so
I would
You were in
never
it,
have
though.
known that.
But you were in full negotiations, though. You went through
Yes.
that weird, like,
That's it.
oh
But
yeah.
most of those A&R guys Those were all dudes that tried to be in a band, but they knew about music, and that's how they got their gigs. Most of those guys wanted to be a guitar player or wanted to be a singer.
Lead singer of Everclear, A&R guy.
Yeah.
Oh, no
Believe it or not.
shit.
Yeah, that
Wow.
yeah. Whenever he wasn't working on that, he was trying to find people. He worked for a record label, and he was an A&R guy.
Wow.
Yep.
But I think Kim and I both like experienced like the disillusionment.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, of
It was.
you're not in control once you're on a label. It does not guarantee that they're going to care about you. Like you'll make records get dropped, and like at some point, then you have to decide what your round two is. Like, what am I going to do next?
And to your earlier comment, stuff in the band starts to approach.
Mhm.
It's like it's that kind of thing. I always equate it to if your trajectory is that you're a couple and you're going to move towards engagement and marriage, and and it doesn't happen. Usually, if that's what somebody wanted, then it dissolves, and that's what happened with Lazy Susan. I think we moved along, we wanted that record deal, and it didn't come about, and it was time to.
That's a lot for a band to bear.
Yeah.
A group of people. It's hard. It's hard on your self-esteem, your egos. We're also in our 20s. We're not like the most mature, or
Evolved.
not, probably a lot passive aggressive, like not great communicators.
It is Seattle. It's passive.
It is.
aggressive.
It's always that way. Still that way. But so all of that plays into it, right? Like it's hard to navigate for a lot of reasons, let alone just in your band. But like then you get yourself in an industry that tweaks insecurities and pushes things.
I remember having some issues, not super bad, but with like publishing advances, who's getting what,
Oh yeah.
who's writing what. Why didn't I get? How come I only got 15%? What's this?
Well, I think what's harder, in Hammerbox, I think what was maybe harder for like that band was Dave and James had played music forever in Harris, but when we signed, they had it. There were key member clauses for Harris and I.
Oh,
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
if one of us left, it was done, right? Like so.
Yeah.
Dave
Well,
and James
that-
were
that
sort of like,
went
I've been
over
playing
well.
music longer than you. Like, why are you getting like,
right.
or just the attention on the female? Like, my voice is pretty transmutable. Like, you could do a lot with it. So it was pretty quick that major labels were like, well, what about Carrie? And like you hear about like No Doubt too. Like, they just want to separate the female out because that's what they know how to promote, right?
Yeah.
So the band feels that, and there's lots of, by this time the band has logged miles, hours, invested. That's just hard all of a sudden to be like, to enumerate, like, you'll only get this much for all your hard work.
Yeah.
Right? Or, hey, you're not special. You're not a key member.
And the singer's getting.
If you write lyrics, she's getting 70 or he's getting
You're
75%.
getting invited
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
radio interviews. You're getting
Mhm.
invited to be on MTV. We did Headbangers Ball a couple times.
Mm-hmm.
They wouldn't let me go on the air though because it was live.
They knew better.
They fucking goddamn right they did. Motherfuckers. You sons of bitches.
Mhm.
From what I
Still
understand
mad.
too, the labels and when you're first signing up, like how percentages are going to work, the label kind of influences a lot of that in the beginning. Like, hey, we think that these two are more key. So, like, because you had mentioned,
Yeah.
like,
Well, I think that was the initial start of a couple conversations with them. Like, we want her, but
Mhm.
we'll say like, but this band, if it's not her and him, well, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, all of a sudden they're telling a band like these two are the most important.
Yeah.
That sucks.
And the other people feel slighted by it.
Oh,
They're
absolutely.
upset.
That's why I think you have bands like U2, if I'm not mistaken. I think that they're all equal.
Yeah.
Like all of their shares, all of their splits, because there's something to be said for doing that and not having, because it would hurt your heart.
When you're not making money in only a couple people, like the record deals that we had, they were just medium record deals. It wasn't anything crazy. It was like you get 2 videos that we're going to pay for MTV. We're going to put you on tour. You're going to get, oh God, we started out, we're getting $13 a day per diems. We're traveling in a van with
Oh
the
my God,
Wells
per
Fargo.
diems. Yeah.
And you're like, fuck, if I eat pizza
Uh-huh.
one more fucking night,
Yep.
what's for dinner tonight? The club's buying us dinner.
What was that
Pizza.
that one story that Chris tells that you guys were on tour and you on the rider, and it was Baba Ganoush that you wanted on the ride. writer.
I don't know if that was true,
Oh.
but yeah, like
What's
well,
babagan? Is that a dish?
it's like hummus.
It's like
but it's with
hummus.
eggplant. Like,
It's
Oh,
super
okay.
yummy. You've had
Yeah.
it before.
yeah,
Probably.
yeah.
But you want kind of healthy things on them,
Yeah.
like so you're not eating pizza every night. So you put a little something great on the writer.
Yeah,
We
once-
never
you
did that.
know, once you're like, oh, I actually have some say in like what is backstage, like, or a little bit of liberation on like, oh, I can ask for anything. I'll have baba ganoush, please. Like, which is
We tried asking for socks.
yeah. Well,
Well, I think that's
Right.
really good too.
I wanted to be.
Yeah.
I'm like, can I have lozenges every show? Can I get sponsored
That's-
by Halls, please?
Yeah.
Yeah,
We
singer, that
wanted
makes sense.
free beer, socks, and cigarettes.
yeah.
Yeah.
'Cause on a $13 per
Give me
diem,
something useful.
that gives you enough money to get a $3.50 meal from Taco Bell
Yeah.
in the middle of motherfucking Wisconsin in the middle of a
Not
snowstorm.
now.
And then I'm asking my tour manager, "Can I get it in advance? I need $5.60 because I want to get the bigger burrito."
These are all the things people don't know.
It was
Like, it's not just
crazy.
because you get signed or anything isn't being like, you're living in a mansion. I'm like, no.
No,
I'm
no,
not
no,
much
no.
has changed.
Also,
And-
also, there's the whole fact that they're charging you on your advance for stuff.
Oh,
From what I've heard.
It's not
Oh,
free money.
Yeah.
That's
No,
yeah, that's the other thing. I mean, it's been said a
It's not
lot, but
free
it's
money.
true. Like Hammerbox had the 2 records, right? But like doing that second record, we got an advance. We got $150,000 advance, but we made that.
Stretch it out.
It had to pay for everything, like tour, if you're going to be gone, your rent, or
You guys do a van tour to start?
oh yeah, like in a shitty Chevy that was like a 1960.
And if you would have
or in
got
Dave's
yourself...
like V-Dub, I don't know what kind of van. Like we almost died in one time, but yeah, you start off in a van and you're going around. This is pre-internet too, so it's like you're going around.
You got your gazetteer. You're looking where
We-
you're
I have the
going.
notebooks from like the notebooks that are like our written addresses of people. So if they want to hear about our next show, I'll send you a postcard.
Yeah.
Or the tour. Harris booked our first tours, frankly, all the clubs, and so yeah, you're in a van and all of that. But when you get signed, we knew we had a really good like financial person, and so they were just like, you got to make it last, But you're right, like the recording budget, the videos, like meals, like you're paying all of that back, everything, unless you're selling. I mean, you've heard so many artists talk about this. Like TLC has a video out on it. Courtney Love is like laid it out, like here's how little you really make when you think someone is like making it. Like,
Well,
Which,
it's just
which
like-
also has to do a lot with who they promote. Like
Yeah.
the label, they kind of pick and choose who, I think that's going to be the hit and really
and no one
put
knows
that
what the
back 'em.
hit's going to be.
You know-
It's such a baloney. Like, and it can't be everybody. Like you're saying, they're going to choose who, and you are not in control of that.
No.
Mm-mm.
Another thing that I think is kind of interesting, and it's kind of happening now with the internet, and now that even friends of ours who are in big bands, really big bands,
Mhm.
put out a record, and they really sell maybe 100,000 units.
Oh,
Yeah.
today's world is a nightmare. I don't know. how
Which
people do it.
back in the day, on the first couple records they did, they were doing 2-3 million
Yeah.
per record, killing it.
Yeah.
Album sales and CD sales are super down. You guys know who Harry Styles is, right?
Of
Mhm.
course. Yeah.
Okay, so
He's
he
like strawberries. Good looking, dude.
I got something for you
Okay.
guys to do singing wise later if you want to. It might be kind of fun. Hold on.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
So,
Um,
I got us into that.
No. We could be here for 8 hours.
I told you.
I know. I'm fine. And we have plenty of food and booze for everybody.
Oh my God.
Invite your friends.
They were
and
never seen
family.
again.
So what I was going to say is that, yeah, times have changed. Album sales are way down. Very popular people that we all know that are good friends of ours don't make that kind of album sales money anymore. Harry Styles, who's very popular, he had a record deal. He had fulfilled his, I think, 4th record for the label.
Mhm.
They're renegotiating to sign him for like another 5 records or something. But he was like, God, I just wrote this song and I really want to release it. And the label doesn't own it. So he released it on his own little thing on like iHeartRadio, Spotify, blah, 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 blah. Like 5 million downloads. Guess how much money he made?
Well, like $10.
He made like $5,000
Holy
Yeah.
crap.
It's bad.
because
It's robbery.
all those singles, when they get shot out that way, they go anywhere from like maybe 10 cents a download to maybe luckily $1.29 a download for a song.
Those platforms aren't designed to make the artist money.
No,
They're designed to make the platform money.
Mhm.
Correct.
And the court, there was that court ruling recently. It's like, no, we don't have to give the data to you.
Yeah.
You know,
Which
it's like,
is crazy.
It's just insane. It's like we don't even have to tell you how much you've been listening. So like, you can't
No.
even do the accounting.
Because if the label isn't going to put you out there, and then those streaming networks are going to be like, well, if we don't do it, you're not going to do it on your own. You can do it on Facebook.
But I think those people now make their money off of touring and merch.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Mhm.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
That's how our friends probably make a lot of their dough now too.
Mhm.
And I don't. The thing about this show is that we don't, and we all know a lot of really popular people out of Seattle. Pretty much everybody, because we've all
Well, the
been here
town is
forever.
small. Yeah.
And that's one thing that I don't like to do. We'll talk about it like this way, but and to name drop and stuff like that, I don't think it's necessary. Although anybody who's going to watch us is going to know exactly who we're speaking of.
Well,
And
everyone here grew up with each other. We can name
Yeah.
whoever we want to name.
no, we
like,
can't.
yeah, we're
Absolutely.
We're really like,
No, absolutely.
yeah.
John
And,
was a dick.
but that's,
Unless you're saying something like that.
Hate him.
well, then there's that.
You probably shouldn't do that.
You know what we're going to do? Have we gotten to a point where we can, do you guys want to talk? So from Hammerbox and Lazy Susan,
Well, you're missing a whole, and I'm only saying this because I have a vested interest in your drummer.
The whole good.
wait a minute, is that little guy? What's his name?
Chris Friel.
Oh, we love Chrissy.
Aw.
We're going to come back. We're going to come back from Seattle Sound then and now with Carrie Akre and Kim Virant. We'll be right back.
It's raining down in Memphis, but I can feel it in the west. Run down cars and cheap dive bars, never get no rest. I've been out with the devil, he's a southern rebel, and he put me to the test. And pass or fail, I'm going to hell. I'm a real life wannabe mess.
Welcome back to Seattle Sound then and now. Owen Wright here with Carrie Akre and Kim Virant. Girls, thank you so much for taking the time today on Super Bowl Sunday to give us a little hoodoo voodoo that you do so well. All right.
Nice.
We want to talk about, and I want to know this too, how did you guys meet?
So after Hammerbox, like I left Hammerbox and started, I'll back up. So when I was in Hammerbox and Kim was in Lazy Susan, again, I said like a lot, I don't feel like, I felt very isolated. Like I didn't have a girl posse. We played a lot of shows with 7 Year Bitch and like the Gits, and I loved those gals, but like I felt very isolated.
We kind of ran in parallel
We did.
groups.
Mhm.
And also at that time you're isolated, but you're also your head's down doing your project. Like I was
Yeah.
with those guys all the fucking time.
All the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you're dead on right. But I happened to be at the Vogue, and I can't remember if I was playing or if it was just a show. And Kim was there, and again, originally a very shy person, like it was. But I thought, okay, maybe I'll say hi to Kim. You know, like that was a big deal for me. And I've told Kim this before. I remember looking at her and like waving, and she was waving until I realized she's not waving at me. And
Oh,
I turned
no.
around, I was like, and you know, I just was like, okay, never mind. But when I left Hammerbox, I started Goodness, and eventually
There we
Chris
go.
Friel joined the band
Your records, one of your singles is right there.
right behind us, and it brought Kim back into my orbit. And Kim has been such an incredible source of confidence for me. Like I think we both were like finally coming to each other, and there's just so much to say because you've been so isolated working in bands that like she's one of my very safe spaces to be able to go like, what is that?
Or I can like, I had this happen. Have you had this happen? And she'll be like,
Mhm.
yes, I have. I'm like, motherfucker. You know,
Yeah,
and it just,
yeah.
it's,
Bolster each other up.
yeah. And we have a unique experiences as front people, of bands,
Yeah.
and just all the stuff that goes in it. And it's been a really beautiful, long friendship. And we don't always do this hangout together, but I'm always confident that Carrie is there if I need her. And so I lived above Duke's on Lower Queen Anne, and she ended up moving in with my buddy Stacy Drake.
Into your spot.
Yeah.
Like you moved out or something. I think you moved in with Chris or something.
No, I was
No?
downstairs.
Oh, okay.
I don't know how many drinks we had down at that bar.
Wait, what?
Down at Duke's.
Yep.
Yeah. Happy hour.
Oh, yeah.
I think we were all like touring. I don't know if we had jobs, but
No money.
no money at all. But I think Kim's just said something that's really important too, is like, we have had a very unique experience. And so there are very few people that I can go talk to about things because they won't know what I'm talking about, or what does it feel like, or the experiences you've had. So finding her as a friend and other women who you can say, you know what I mean? Like, that's rare to be able to say, like, you understand what I've been through or the places I've been.
That's super cool.
Really, really
yeah.
precious, I think. So, and we, like Kim just said too, like, we're also the kind of women too who are like, it could be 2 years and she could call me up and be like, hey, what's up? Like, we could just start like it's
Drop
over.
right back down in it.
Yeah.
You know
doesn't
what's
matter.
kind of funny is that the first time I ever hung out with both you guys at the same time, I don't even think that we had really met.
I don't, yeah.
Was 2 Christmas ago when I showed up at your house dressed as Santa Claus.
Who's that guy?
I might have infamous Christmas parties.
Yeah. So, Carrie, did you ever go to any of these Christmas parties, and when did you start going?
I went to one and Owen was there.
Oh, okay.
And I came in wearing the Santa suit, and then I went back out and I changed real quick, and then I came, hey, everybody, what I missed? And I'm like, really? And actually, I think Chris goes, who the fuck are you? I go, it's me. Oh, shit.
Who are you? I could just see Chris doing that, sort of politely not wanting to ask you that, but like he needs to. Like,
Who's that big
who's in my
asshole with the
house?
fucking
Who's in
Santa
my
Claus
house?
What
suit on?
is happening?
I still have that suit. I can go put it on right now if you want.
No, I'll pass.
Oh, Christmas is over. Damn it.
It's smelly. That was a couple Christmases ago.
Let's move towards what I really want to get to, because you guys have a show coming up. Tell me what that's all
This
about.
is Carrie's brainchild, so I'm going to
Okay.
you take the lead.
Well, last year was the start of me wanting to commune more with female artists and also showcase by putting shows together. And so the first one I put together was for National Women's Day, March 8th last year. But I got COVID and couldn't play it.
Oh, shit.
But Kim was on it, Kathy Moore, Brittany Davis, like a whole bunch of people were on it.
The show went on.
The show went
Oh,
on.
yeah.
And
Okay.
I was super excited because in my eyes, I was like, the show was for them. It's for us. Like, it wasn't about me. So they had a good time and the show was great. So I felt like it won. Like, I felt good about it.
Oh, it totally won.
Yeah.
It was a great crowd, and it was really fun.
That's
And
super cool.
the point, for me, there's a couple purposes to it. Like, it's for getting women together so they can commune. Also to have audiences built in that appreciate them. So the show provides, like, they're coming to see you. This is about you, and you guys get to talk to each other. So it's been nice to, like, actually have people come back and say, oh my God, I needed that. Like, like, oh, that was great. Oh, because to Kim's point, we're all working hard anyway, right? Like, we're just like heads down in the thing we're doing. Almost all of the artists that I talk to have all the same insecurities, all the same, like worries and all of that. And like, but are we talking to each other?
Yeah.
And so that's a huge point of it. So we're doing it again this year at the Clock Out Lounge. I want any female to stand in her ownership, like without explanation, like, and to do what she wants to do and get out of these maybe habits of explaining yourself or apologizing or maybe, it's like, no, like, this is full ownership. You earned the right to be here. You don't have to explain to anyone. Like, you are a complete artist. So I'm hoping that comes across when they all come together too, because I want that to be explicit.
And that show is going to be
March 8th
At?
at the Clock Out Lounge.
and we'll be able to see both you guys perform, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
That's going to be awesome. We're going to come back from Seattle Sound then and now with Carrie Akre and Kim Virant. We'll be right back.
We may feel like we're sitting down, but both of us know that's not the way that we sound. With all of the things that we've been through, the quiet fight, what we know to be true. I wanna tell somebody what we've seen. To any girl who is lost at sea, if you're feeling alone, here's what I want you to know: that you're perfect. You don't have to explain.
You know what? At this point, we're going to wrap it up for Seattle Sound, then and now. Carrie, thank you so much for being here. Kimberly, I love you dearly. You know that. Do you guys want to try something real fun for a sec? Get your phones.
We're gonna get it. We're gonna give it a whirl.
All right.
And we haven't, I just thought about this morning. Okay, so first line, second line of the verse, you guys just go back and forth, and then,
She's going to sing the first two. I'm going to sing the second two.
okay, and then
We'll just sing
the chorus, you guys do it together,
Yeah,
and I'm just going to play guitar.
Okay.
we're gonna try. This is just like the tryout. Hammerbox.
you're
Ready, set, go.
You're auditioning for Owen's new band.
I am. Or he's trying out.
I don't think
mine.
I don't think I've ever sang this song.
Oh, you want to hear it first?
No, I used to.
line is like,
Left us car. Who you really are.
yeah.
Not yet. Two, three, four.
Feeling better now that we're through. Feeling better 'cause I'm over you. I learned my lesson, left a scar. Now I see who you really are. You're no good, you're no good, you're no good. Baby, you're no good. Wanna say it again. You're no good, you're no good, you're no good. Baby, you're no good.
You want to do one more?
Broke a heart, gentle and true. Well, I broke a heart over someone like you. I beg his forgiveness on bended knee. I won't blame him if he said to me, you're no good, you're no good, you're no good. Baby, you're no good.
Seattle Sounds, then and now.
I'm gonna say it
Take it out.
again. You're no good, you're no good, you're no good. Baby, you're no good.
All right, everybody. Thanks so much for being here. Seattle Sounds, then and now. Carrie Akre, Kim Virant.
Thank you.
Later, Gators.